The Supreme Court has cleared the way for the handover of Donald Trump's tax returns to Congress after a 3-year legal fight. It comes as 4 separate cases involving the former president are playing out in 4 other courtrooms across the country as he ramps up his 3rd White House run. Those cases include the investigation into classified documents seized from the former president's MarALago estate in Florida. Federal appeals court today is hearing arguments in that case from Trump's attorneys and from the Justice Department. The DOJ wants to shut down a special master's review of some of those documents seized at MarALago. ABC News chief investigative reporter Josh Margolin, ABC News contributor Brian Buckmeyer join us with more. Josh, let's begin with this news out of the Supreme Court. The justice is now clearing the way, turning down Trump's bid to stop Congress from getting access to his tax returns under a federal law which allows committees of Congress to access individual tax returns confidentially, supposedly, in order to write relevant legislation. It's the House Ways and Means Committee that sought these Trump tax returns. So what happens here? What's going on?
Terry, it looks like the president's options of trying to keep these tax returns secret without having to see the Justice Department get them from the Treasury Department, I should say the committee get them from the Treasury Department. It looks like his avenues are done, and it's coming right on the eve of when the Democrats are going to likely lose control of the House of Representatives. But honestly, they have enough time in the calendar. It's right now the end of November. They have until the beginning of January. These records could well be turned over in that short period of time. He has tried for years to keep this from happening.
And so, Brian, he's reached the end of the road here. Are there criminal implications for the president if and when his tax returns are collected by the House Ways and Means in these last few weeks? Because under the federal law, they're supposed to be writing legislation and keeping an individual tax return confidential. But everybody knows Congress leaks. I mean, what's your assessment of what's going on here?
Yeah, it's possible, because the question becomes, why were these tax returns hidden for so long? We already see there are 2 cases, especially out of New York, one of them being from the Attorney General in New York, Ms. James. She's going after the Trump Organization. If Trump's own tax returns create other legal implications, he could be seeing other criminal charges throughout the country, or more specifically in New York.
You know, Josh, I want to go to you one more on this particular case, and that is the precedent that it sets. You know, the idea of members of Congress rummaging through individuals' tax returns in order to, quote, write legislation, when really they're, you know, maybe they want to write legislation, maybe they're looking for scandal. You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And the Republicans have proved that they're not shy about doing investigations, Benghazi and the ones that are coming over
Sure.
Hunter Biden. Is this a nightmare precedent, really?
I don't know, Terry. Can't we argue the other side? Presidents for decades have turned over tax returns. Joe Biden is not worried about his tax returns being seen, being put out into the public. Donald Trump, he has fought tooth and nail so aggressively to keep anybody from seeing their returns. And the truth is, the law really is clear, which is why even Trump appointees on the federal bench all the way to the Supreme Court have ruled against him. The Congress has the right to review any taxpayer's tax returns for a legitimate legislative purpose. And the legislative purpose they're saying here is that presidential tax returns are audited. And they're audited to make sure that their governments don't give them special treatment. And they're trying to see if that legitimately happened during the 4 years Donald Trump was president. Have the Republicans threatened investigations? Yes. They've already started sending notices to the executive branch, to the Biden administration. Save records. We're going to make people testify. I don't know there's anything more that they can do, but I certainly don't believe that Joe Biden is worried about his tax returns hitting the paper.
Right. And there's plenty of other things to worry about for Joe Biden with the Republicans in control. Josh, I do want to go to this battle over the special master in the MarALago documents case. The Justice Department asking the appeals court to remove that special master who was appointed by a trial court judge to review the MarALago documents before the Justice Department got access to them in case Trump had privilege that he could claim over some of these. So what's happening in this case?
Well, basically, the Justice Department has now had access to the records because all of the whole order of putting the special master in charge and creating that time lag has basically been stayed. They've stopped it. And so at this point, the question is, Is there any real need for the special master to be there at all? And the Justice Department is saying the special master shouldn't have been appointed to begin with and certainly shouldn't be there any longer.
And so, Brian, there's now a special counsel, different than a special master. The special counsel is this prosecutor appointed by Merrick Garland to look at, now that Donald Trump is running for president, to look at this case, both the MarALago documents case and any case that might come out of the January 6th investigations. That sounds like a really big challenge for one prosecutor. Two huge cases with some unprecedented issues having to do with a former president in the middle of a campaign season. Would you want that job?
I wouldn't want that job. I think it's above my pay grade. But the person who is taking over this job in this case is a former prosecutor in The Hague for war crimes. So if there's ever a person to be able to take over this, I would assume it's him. It's a lot. It's a wide spanning in terms of the investigation, not just for one case. I mean, the January 6th case is big enough, but to have both of them as well, that's a lot to handle. But the separation from this appointee and the DOJ, I think, is important to show some resemblance of no bias, but also to get to the bottom of whether or not Trump is connected to the January 6th riots or get some answers for this MarALago situation as to documents being taken from the White House.
Absolutely. It's a big job ahead for the special counsel there. Josh Margolis, Brian Buckmeyer, thanks very much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.